So Mark, I can hear you, but if you're having trouble hearing
Good.
us, we may need to put questions.
You know, I can hear you. It's just you're breaking up some. So if maybe we can put questions in the chat or just see how it's going at that time.
Another option might be if Mark stops trying to use his audio on the computer and calls in. You can still have your picture up, but use your phone. You probably
That's a
didn't
good
hear
idea.
that.
Let me see if I can figure out how to call in.
If you go to
I just have the link you gave me.
Okay.
if you go to the lower, I don't know if you're using an iPad or a computer. On my computer, it's the mute link. There's an up arrow on the lower left-hand corner. And if you hit that, you can switch to phone audio, and that'll give you a number to call.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Vicky.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, some
Many-
technical assistance.
Yeah, no kidding.
Many years of using Zoom, apparently.
That's great. Thank you.
Wow, that's really cool. I'll give that a go. Do I
So,
have to mute myself too?
yeah,
Just if you switch to phone audio, it will automatically mute your computer, I think. And if not, Lynn can mute you.
So I press phone call. It doesn't seem to be doing anything.
thank you everyone who is signing into the chat. If you're not a board member or staff of the DD board, it's very helpful to us to see your name, and if you have an agency that you're affiliated with, include that too in the chat. That gives us a good record for the minutes, and we'll know how to spell your name. So that's much appreciated. As soon as, and you have 4 out of 5 board members present, and that might be what we're getting today. So,
Okay,
so if you want to start, you can. I'm kind of hopeful that Mark's audio will work and that it won't create like feedback when we first get started. And I will put the link to this board packet into the chat as soon as we get started. And I'm at the Lau Shields room to keep us in compliance with the revised Open Meeting Act rules. So per the emergency order.
all right. Well, let's go ahead and get started if we think this is what we're going to get. And then if anybody else joins in, then we can, of course, add them. Stephanie, would you do the roll call, please?
Deb Rush, Georgiana Schuster,
Here.
Kim Fisher,
Here.
Vicki Nicewander.
Here.
Ann Robin.
Here. So Deb Bruce is the absent party,
Yep.
but we have a quorum. So I would like to ask for approval of the agenda as printed in the board packet.
So moved, Vicky.
And I will second it. Any discussion about the agenda? Okay, I will make one comment about the agenda. The very last item is a review of closed session minutes, and at the advice of our attorney, since I am a part-time employee of Carl Hospital and all of these closed sessions have involved Carl, I will excuse myself. I have not been involved in any of these sessions, so I will sign out at that point. And Georgiana, either you or Lynn can take over and run that session if you decide to do closed session minutes, which I think you may have to go into closed session to decide to whether or not to do closed session. I don't know, but Stephanie will advise us about that. Okay, is there any citizen input or public participation at this time?
I think you have to have a vote for approval of the agenda.
Oh, approval of the minute. I'm sorry. Approval of the agenda needs a vote. Okay, this discussion, any more discussion? Stephanie, would you do the roll call, please?
Georgiana Schuster,
Yes.
Kim Fisher,
Yes.
Vicki Nicewander,
Yes.
Ann Robin.
Yes. Thank you for keeping me on task there. Okay, now citizen input or public participation. Okay, hearing none, as always, we will open it up if anybody comes forward. And I do have a few remarks. I told Lynn yesterday I didn't have any, but I have a few short remarks, and they're mostly thanks to people. The pandemic has been going for 2.5 years now. It may be in some circles officially over, but COVID is still very much with us, as evidenced by the fact that we're meeting on Zoom today out of caution and respect for our partners and our aging selves. So I want to recognize the fact that we are still here. After 2.5 years, we are all still here. We're all still providing services. The board is functioning. The staff is functioning. The agencies that are providing the services have struggled and survived, and in some cases thrived and done really amazing things. So I just want to recognize that fact. Thank you to all of you for hanging in there. We're not done yet, so let's keep on hanging in there. Also, later in this program, we're going to be hearing about the evaluation program. Many of you have participated in these programs over the last few years and given feedback. And as a person who has provided direct services myself most of my life, I recognize how difficult doing evaluation and doing accountability while providing direct services is for everyone. So I just want to recognize that and thank people for their participation, and hopefully having gotten some useful things out of the participation. I also want to thank our partners for providing the services and for working with our staff to allow us to do the accountability that we're required to do. This board function is as public trust for public money, and the information that we get from the voluminous accounts and from the evaluations allows us to do that job. So I want to thank our partner agencies for their participation over the years and their continued participation in allowing us to do this while they're providing services. And I want to thank Lynn for her leadership in organizing all of this, and the staff for their incredible hard work and their flexibility in working with so many different formats and working with our partners to continue to provide the services. And I look forward to doing that in the future. So those are my comments, and really thanks to you all. Lynn?
Thank you. Those were nice comments. When we reviewed the agenda yesterday, and we were talking about each of the items and how much time they take and what they're about, my favorite part really is the successes, the little discussion about midway through where we hear about what this funding is actually accomplishing for people. That's something that this team and I, also need to hear. And so I really appreciate when people have stories to share that, about the human outcomes. So the purpose of that evaluation project is to capture similarly what has been the value of these programs to humans. So I think that this is a very full agenda, and you also have a special meeting next week with the Mental Health Board, another really full agenda. But this is a really interesting time for me, at least, and kind of an exciting time of the year, because we're looking at all of the results from program year 22. We've got all that information. I don't think that anyone, at least any DDB funded agency, failed to provide the information on time. I mean, we're working through all of it now. It's very helpful in setting the stage for whatever we're going to talk about for funding for program year 24. And in the middle of that is program year 2023, which is what we're in right now. And I am trying to appreciate the things that we can control, including our online system. You know, we've tried to make some visual improvements to it to make it easier for people to work in. We may not have got it. And as I go in there, the team members and I are testing each section and finding some things didn't carry over. So it's just to prepare everybody to do the reports for PY 2023. We're kind of scrambling to make sure this thing works right. And I'm noticing instructions that aren't quite right. So it's a really interesting moment to be living in 3 different program years at the same time. So anyway, I also think that from reviewing information, we are reminded of the painful truths that hold across this whole country in the DD system, and that Champaign County is no stranger to, that the staffing, the workforce situation is not a crisis, it's a catastrophe. And it really does demand our continued attention at the advocacy levels. And I really appreciate this Developmental Disabilities Board for always being willing to do that advocacy, at whether it's national, state, or local advocacy. You all are ready, and you're also very knowledgeable and powerful advocates. And I think that is, we have to keep doing that. We can fund agency services, but they're dealing with a tide that's much, much bigger than can be fixed by this money. So anyway, that's all. I want to stop talking because there's a lot today. Okay.
Thank you, Lynn. The next item is approval for the last board meeting minutes from July. Can I get a motion?
This is
I
Kim.
will
I
move. Oh, go ahead, Kim.
motion to approve the minutes as written.
And I will second that, Vicky.
They beat you out, Georgiana. Any comments? Any questions? Okay, hearing none, let's have the roll call, please.
Kim Fisher,
Yes.
Vicky Nicewander,
Yes.
Georgiana Schuster,
Yes.
Ann Robin,
Yes. All right, we've accomplished that. The next item is the vendor invoice lists, pages 8 and 9. Can I get a motion to approve the vendor invoice lists?
I'll approve, Vicky.
I'll second Kim.
Any questions or comments about the vendor invoice lists?
I have a question. This is Georgiana. At the very beginning of the invoice list on page 8, it's under Champaign County Treasurer. For July, we're paying $32,355 for DD 23,078. What is that?
That is such a good question. That is the contract that you have with the Regional Planning Commission. So
Okay,
Champaign County has a very unique regional planning commission in that it provides lots and lots of services, and it has been for many years the recipient of state contracts to do the pass and pre-admission screening and a few other things, like they're the gatekeeper for state funding for people who residents of Champaign County and the larger region. And so a few years ago, y'all started to fund additional programs there for that unit, Independent Service Coordination Unit, to provide services specific to the DD board and to residents of Champaign County who don't have state funding. So it's one of the contracts that you do with agencies. It's just RPC is a pseudo governmental unit like we are. They're a shadow department of the county, and that's why their payment is done through the treasurer.
Thank you, Lynn. That was very illuminating. Any other questions or comments?
Oh, I have one more. On the next page, page 9, Developmental Services Center, we were paying 2 months in 1 month. Is there some reason that I don't understand and maybe don't need to understand why we're paid 2 months in 1 month.
You're muted, Lynn.
Sorry, I don't see that. This is the list of payments that were made during August.
Yes, and the very first column, which is labeled invoices,
Uh-huh.
mostly they're August, but then you get halfway down
Oh, there you
Developmental
go.
Center,
Oh, yeah,
and then we get into July, and I just,
you're right.
That's
Chris,
for the Community First program, I believe.
there's a whole bunch of them, Kim. Let's-
Oh, okay.
Maybe Chris can tell us why.
Okay.
That's because they hadn't returned their signed contracts in time, so they missed the window for the July payments. They got the contracts in time for the August payments, so both months were released at once.
Thank you,
Okay.
Chris. So normally it would have, and I think that's unusual too for them. So normally the payments would have gone out in July. Thank you for catching that, Georgiana.
well, that's my nitpicking self.
Chris remembered the answer. Yay.
Yay.
To have a nitpicker in on every board, so thank you.
Good.
Nitpicker, AKA accountant. Huh? All right. Any other questions or comments? Thank you for those, Georgiana. Okay, hearing none, let's do the roll call, please.
Vicky Niswander,
Yes.
Georgiana Schuster,
Yes.
Kim Fisher,
Yes.
Ann Robin.
Yes. All right, well, now we're going to see whether Mark is able to connect using our wonderful modern technology and give us a, I budgeted 15 minutes for this presentation. Mark, are you able to do that?
I will do my very best.
All
And
right, then.
if I get close to running out of time, just give me a hands up and I can abbreviate.
All right, then.
So I try to share my screen. It says I cannot share screen while another participant is sharing. Thank you. So
I'm
I'll
so
give it-
sorry. I have the presentation in the board packet, so I was going to share it, but so could
Well,
you,
actually,
There you
don't.
go. That's beautiful.
well, we need to post this on the website. So if you don't mind sending it, we'll post it as addendum.
I will certainly do so.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for inviting me back here again. My name is Mark Aber. I am a professor emeritus, newly professor emeritus. I've recently retired from the psychology department at the U of I. And we've been doing this work, as many of you know, for many years. This is our 7th year of working with funded programs, trying to help them build capacity to collect data and look at how that data reflects on their program. And so I want to thank my collaborators, 2 veteran graduate students, Emily Blevins and Hope Holland, who have been doing this work with us for a few years, Hope for many years, and Nathan Todd, who is my colleague and professor in the department as well. I also want to just mention Nicole Allen, who has been part of this work from the beginning and who this year wasn't able to do so. She was serving as our department head and just didn't have the bandwidth to do it. So I want to acknowledge her contributions to this work. Okay, let me see if I can. So I'm just going to try to give you an overview of what you already saw in the report, so it refreshes your memory. And if we want to have a little discussion, we can do so. This past year, as we have in previous years, we had a number of things that we were trying to accomplish. First, we were trying to, and this is really probably the most nebulous and more difficult of the tasks, is to build a culture in amongst the funded programs and together with the board and staff that is valuing evaluation. And so, 2 of the main ways that this happens is through our partnerships with the individual programs. We had 6 of them this year. I'll tell you some more about that in a minute. And then also through presentations at the end of the year that the program's targeted partners give to the Mental Health and DD Advisory Council. And they did so this year in July and September. The goal is just to make evaluation something that is not scary, is something that they value and see the value of, and helping them to modify and improve their programs. The second main goal of our work this year was to continue to support the development of theory of change logic models. We offered 2 logic model workshops virtually this year. We were attended by 5 agencies. I think almost every funded program on your dockets have participated in these workshops over the years. And this is really a chance for programs to think systematically about how what they're doing should lead to program outcomes in sort of a process related way. It gives you a visual of how to do that. And it provides a really good starting place for conversation amongst staff. So we offered 2 of those, and 5 programs continued. We continue to offer and build what we call a buffet of tools. This is where we store digitally the measures and various tools that programs can use to assist them in their evaluation. All the funded programs have access to those tools. And as new ones are used and developed, we place them there for people's use. Whoops. We also continue to provide what we call consultation bank time to programs that were not our targeted partners, but who wanted a short-term consultation around evaluation-related work. We did this this year with a couple of different programs, and we focused mostly on clarifying short-term outcomes and operationalizing the program components. For one program, and for another program, we worked on clarifying their evaluation strategy. It's a program that had a lot of staff change, and we were trying to help them with their institutional memory of what their evaluation work was about. Then we had 6 targeted partnerships. These are the largest investment that we make over the course of the year. We had 3 new partners, 2 funded by the Mental Health Board, the Well Experience and Women in Need Recovery, and 1 funded by the DD Board, Champaign County Regional Planning Commission's Decision Support Person-Centered Planning Program. And then we had 3 continuing partners, all of them funded by the Mental Health Board. Community Choices is a DD also funded program, but this particular program I think is primarily funded by the Mental Health Board, the Community Living Program. We worked with RACES and their Sexual Violence Prevention Education Program, and we worked with Uniting Pride's Children, Youth, and Families Program. The new partnerships are really about trying to make sure that they have a solid theory of change logic model in place and have a strategy for collecting data and measures to collect data, timeline for doing so, that kind of thing. With the continuing partners, we focus on data usage. And there we're really trying to get people to move towards having systematized ways of storing and accessing data that they can pull up over the years, that they can build up over the years, so that they can look at change over time, and so that they can make it easier to report out their work. So we have a chat comment here. Okay. Currently funded by the DD Board. That's great. That's good to know. Sorry, I don't mean to shortchange it all on that front. And I just have, let's see, I think I hit, there we go. I want to just say a few words about the kind of activities that we engaged in with partners. As I mentioned, we work on creating and refining theory of change logic models. We help them identify and to, when needed, tailor for their particular program's use high quality and empirically based measures of key constructs that they want to track, including measures of access to and barriers to program participation and implementation and program outcomes. For some programs, and this was true of all the programs that we worked with this year, we were working with new measures or, not systematic measures from the literature. They just didn't fit the goals of these particular programs at this time. We created new measures of key program constructs and outcomes. We worked on trying to help create efficient and standardized data collection, storage, and analysis procedures, identify appropriate benchmarks for interpreting program impacts. Once you have that data, what's it mean? How does it compare? Is this good or bad? You know, one way to do that is to compare it to benchmarks out there in the professional world and in the literature that helps people understand how they're doing relative to other programs. And then to support programs to use the data they collect to improve their programs. And this is really the key goal, is to, again, have programs begin to think about, how do we know that we're accomplishing what we want to accomplish? What can we do better? The data there are supposed to be tools to get you to think about those things. We also spent some time with the Mental Health Board, consulting about the transition from the work that Nicole and I and our graduate students have been doing for the last 7 years to some other form of supporting evaluation work for the DD and mental health boards. Since Nicole and I are both moving on, we won't be able to continue this work. And then we offered 2 workshops that were focused on data usage fundamentals. These were also virtually presented. They were attended by staff from RACES, First Followers, the Refugee Center, DSC, and GROW. And I'll show you some of the details of the kind of work that we're doing. It was about trying to introduce them. Some of them know quite a lot already, but to Excel for outcome analysis. So Excel is a Microsoft application that is really good for storing and analyzing and manipulating data. It's really a very powerful tool. And so we're just trying to show them some of the basics, how to create a workbook and add sheets, how to create current client worksheets. You can see the list of some of the topics that were covered in our first workshop. And the goal is really just to break the ice, introduce them so that they could know where to go to look for more information about how to use this program. And so they didn't feel quite so bamboozled by getting started. The second workshop, and these were designed to build on one another, really focused on helping programs think about how to use Excel to complete their performance outcome reports that are required by your board and the Mental Health Board. And we did that by walking them through some case examples, showing them how to use Excel to calculate length of time between various activities, computing means and percentages in their data, tracking change over time, and breaking out results by predefined groups. And also how to create these kinds of tools so that they can use them next year. They don't have to reinvent the wheel. So that was the nature of that. And I think that's all I have to say today is that it's a quick summary of the work we've done. I want to say that we have probably too much in the way of a written report for you. There's a long narrative, the guts of which really are in the 2nd through 6th sections. These are the reports from the individual programs that we worked with. And you can really see the details of the kinds of activities we engaged in with programs and why decisions were made as they were. There's also a lot of appendices that are, I think, stored in a separate place that Lynn can, if she hasn't already, given you a link to, where you can see some of the tools themselves that were developed and used. So thank you very much. I am more than happy to entertain any questions you might have.
Well, I just want to thank you, Mark. That was a very excellent presentation and really highlighted what was in the more detailed document that you put in the public record. So thank you so much for that.
Sure. Happy to do it. I've really enjoyed the work we've done with you over the years, and I look forward to seeing the new directions that this evaluation work goes.
I have a question.
Yes.
This is Georgiana. I'm wondering if this is the final year. Was this year 7 and the final year that you're doing this work?
Yes,
Yep.
it is. Thank you, Georgiana, for asking. Yes, I just retired, and Nicole Allen, my partner in crime, has moved on to Vanderbilt. So we're just not able to do it anymore. We've really enjoyed the work over time. We would have kept doing it if we were both in the position to do so.
And so the agencies that have signed up for this program in the past, will they continue to have access to the consultation bank?
That will be up to you and the staff to decide how to continue to provide that kind of support. They will have access to the buffet of tools. The so-called buffet of tools is, just a digital archive of different measures and resources that help with evaluation, but we won't be available for live consultation.
Well, I haven't used your services, but I would imagine that the agencies that have benefited quite a bit from the services and would want to have that continuing on, but that's something we have to work on. That's just kind of the only question I had about whether this will continue or not. And what you're saying is it will not, because people have moved on.
Yeah, I mean, I do know that through conversations with Lynn, I'm sorry, Lynn, I don't mean to speak out of turn, but I know that Lynn is interested in continuing to support programs with evaluation activities. The exact form that'll take, I think, is still in the works, trying to figure out how to do that. But I think there is a commitment there to do it.
Yeah, we'll look forward to hearing more about that as time goes on and things become more clear. And you certainly have laid an amazing groundwork for people to move forward.
One thing I will say is I do think the programs now are in a different place than they were when we started this work, both with respect to their own understanding of evaluation, their own plans for collecting data and using it, and more importantly, their sort of appreciation for the value of it. And so I do think that's a big step forward.
This is real quick. This is Kim. Mark, thank you to you and your team for doing all this work for the board and the programs. We've heard wonderful feedback from everybody of how important this work is. So thank you. And it definitely ultimately helps residents that we're serving. I just want to clarify with the board members and maybe Lynn of how we can make sure that we have access to the digital tools and resources somehow. And I think you might have mentioned it before, but I think I forgot. So could we just clarify that we will get that information and where it will be put, because I know there's probably staff at all the agencies who are good to go, and they might just, be a nice training tool for new staff that come in, and they can use those resources as they see fit.
It's posted at the top of the public page. The resource bank is posted on our, the homepage of the online application and reporting system, though I'm learning that people might not see that. I'm not sure why, but like so many things, I try to post things publicly, but it still doesn't mean that people can find them. So we will be, we'll just keep that link handy to send to people, because that resource bank is a gift. That's a great thing. And then there are also Hope has provided us a link to some of the recent workshops too. So those are not just by way of example of what this project was able to do, but also tools that people can still use. So both of those links are valuable.
Thank you.
Good question. Any other questions or discussion on this topic or for Mark? Well, I want to thank everybody for their participation, and thanks to Mark and his team for years of great work. And I wish you well in your retirement, and Nicole Allen well in Vanderbilt, beautiful place.
Yes.
So thanks a lot, and we'll look forward to talking to you again in the future, maybe.
Terrific. Thank you, Ann, and thank you, Lynn, so much for your leadership on this and the board's leadership. I think it's been really important for our community. So thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, the next item is actually an action item. Agency matching funds request. Lynn, do you want to clarify this like you did for me last night?
Yeah, I think this is very typical, and this contract has served as matching funds for other funding, which it's described in here, the Donated Funds Initiative. The reason that this year you're asked to approve it separately is I think it wasn't explicit in the approval that you made in May of this contract. And we want to make sure that it's explicit. So the agency sent us this nice, concise letter asking, and then we tried to keep it all on one page for you. So this is it's been done for many years. And actually Danielle Matthews is on the call if she wants to explain it, but I felt it was pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I get a motion to approve?
This
I
is
will
Kim.
motion to approve. Can we have more discussion on this?
Of always, Georgiana,
okay.
that's the way it works. You have to motion to approve and second, and then we will open up for discussion.
Okay, I motion to approve.
This is Kim, I'll second.
Okay, all right. Discussion, more discussion. Georgiana?
Yep, but this is new to me, and so I just have basic questions. Is this I think what Lynn just said is this is not the first time that CCDDB money is being used as a match for a grant, but it's the first time we're voting on it. Is that right?
I think we have voted in the past. I sent a letter every year. You have done it in the past, and you have funded it in the past. I don't know how many years. I actually didn't go back and look. I was wondering how many years it has been, but you have.
In previous years, you didn't have to do it as a separate request. It was either included in the application or it was covered in the board's approval in May. So we haven't split it out like this, but it is very typical of this program.
So this is Vicky. I have a question too. So I'm not understanding why this happens. Why do we have to vote on, why are we providing matching funds for something that's already grant funded?
Grant requires matching funds from another source, and so it's just using the money that's already towards the same programming as the match.
Got it. Okay.
Thank you for that clarification.
In my opinion, this is a good practice. This is something I think we would love to see more of it if there were such opportunities, but there are not a lot of opportunities like this. It's just good leveraging of the local funding.
Do you want a little more information about what this covers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is our contract with Carle Hospital, and we've actually had this contract for over 20 years. Traditionally, it was the Title 20 funds provide supervisor coverage for a crew of people who work in the dietary services. And it's traditionally people who would have either difficulty working without that level of supervision, or it's people who have used it as a stepping stone to move on to other locations or within Carle Hospital itself. Within the last 2 years, it's moved from 100% people with disabilities to a more integrated crew. So now about 35% of the people on the crew are people who just want to work with us. And it's been a great benefit to not only the people we serve, but also to Carle Hospital. And in fact, Kevin Stuffus, who's the Director of Dietary Services, is part of the Carl Diversity Committee. And he's asked me to co-lead a presentation with him in the month of December about this cooperative effort. And the reason we're doing it in October is that it's Disability Employment Month. So it's been great for Carl as well as for us.
Thank you.
So how much money are we talking about as a match for this? I don't see that listed anywhere.
I think it is 20. Do you know that off the top of your head? And I think it's 24,000.
I think it is 24,000. It's in the low to mid 20s. I don't know the exact amount.
And how many people are on this crew?
I don't know the exact number. We have approximately 12 people.
And how many hours per week on average do they work?
We recently have started splitting the time with Carl, but we have a crew there from 6 in the morning until 2:30 in the afternoon, 7 days a week.
Okay.
So can I just clarify a question? So 2 questions. First, we're not approving any additional money. This is just money we've already agreed to, like we've approved already. You just want to use it for a different reason.
Yes.
Okay. And then secondly, the matching. So the 24, let's say it's 24,000. Carl is also putting up 24,000 to support this program. Is that what's going on here? Can you talk a little bit more about the match?
It's a federal grant. The DFI Title 20 is a federal grant. So, and that grant's probably around, I believe, 75,000. And then 24 of that is a match that's required by the federal government.
Thank you for clarifying. I misunderstood and thought this was
No,
a
that's
Carl
okay.
grant. I missed the title. I missed
That's
that,
just
so
what,
thank
yeah,
you.
that's just, and then we're using it for that community employment.
So
Okay, great.
That's a really good question, though. So is Carl putting any money toward this effort? Are they paying the individuals?
Their
Yes.
money is paying the individuals that work there, yes,
Yes.
but not the supervisor.
Okay.
The only clarification, this is Patty, that I wanted to make is that how many people in that are actually working at one time? I mean, it's not one crew. There's a schedule that's made for the 7 days, and there's a rotation, just like any other job, where people are assigned to, scheduled for specific hours. It's not the same group of people working together all the time.
No, they have, we staff it just like the hospital staffs theirs. We have people who work anywhere from 3 to 5 days a week, depending on their capacity. They have a set schedule. Some people work, 15 hours a week, and some people work up to 30. And there's a crew of 4 to 5 people at a time. It kind of ebbs and flows based on, the workload, at any given time.
Okay, I just want to make a comment. I think this is just a stellar program and just a great example of cooperation with the community, with the board, with the federal program, how to work together. And I just want to congratulate everybody for pulling this off and keeping it going for so long. It's obviously a benefit to the people who are getting employment, actual employment at Carl Hospital. But it also has a ripple effect in the community as we think about our anti-stigma activities. I would put this under anti-stigma, because for people to be seen as colleagues, coworkers in a significant job doing real work, there's just a tremendous benefit from that. It is beyond selling t-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And I just also several, Annette could chime in on that, but a lot have gotten hired as Carl employees as well. So there are other benefits as well too.
Yes.
I have one more question. Is the money used from both the CCDDB and the Title 20 grant, is that money used to pay the people or to pay for the program and the supervisors and so forth?
It's
Supervisors, the support.
specifically- Yeah,
Say that again?
specifically for the supervisor.
Specifically for the supervisors, okay.
Can I ask one more question? Are the people competitively paid? Like, so, or what's their rate? Is it, do they at least get paid?
We have a contract that increases the amount, and yes, they are paid over minimum wage.
Great, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, they're very much valued by Carl.
Yeah.
And, you know, over the past few years, as with everywhere in the community, staffing that has been very challenging. It's a very physically demanding job. And Kevin Steph has actually approached us because he is so invested in preserving this relationship that, you know, his crew is taking over part, you know, part of the operation because, you know, he just finds so much value in it.
Right. Thank you.
I have a question. This is a technical question, but it has impact. I think that Georgiana did not read the motion as presented, and that's probably good because there's an error in the motion, I think. Danielle, you just mentioned this was federal funding. This says state funding, so I think that was based on the letter, but if that's not, whenever you read the motion, you could just strike the word state.
So I think it's federal funds that flow through the state, but yes, you can correct it to just say DFI Title 20.
Just funding, yeah.
Correct.
All right. Thank you. I got worried about, I just worry about the form of the motions. Sorry about that.
Should I
So we're going to
reread
revise the motion to just say funding through DFI Title 20.
You don't have to revise it because no one read it, but if you, when you do read it, just skip the word state and it'll be perfect.
Okay, Georgiana, would you please read the motion?
Sure. Motion to approve the use of CCDDB program year 2023 DSC Community Employment Grant Funds as match for funding through DFI Title 20.
This is Kim, I second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, I think this was a very useful discussion, and I want to thank everybody for your questions and for the clarifications and description. I've learned a lot about this program, which I kind of knew existed, but I've learned a lot more. Any more discussion? Okay, are we ready for a roll call?
Sorry, can I
vote?
ask one quick question? I mean,
Yes.
so Lynn or board, would it make, is it better for us to actually include it in the grant and reference it there, or it does need to be separate? Put it in the grant.
Put it in the
Okay.
grant.
Okay, thank you.
Well, by not putting it in the grant, we had a substantive discussion with this board. So thank you for that. As operational, it probably would be better to put it in the grant. But I learned a lot.
You can still have that substantive discussion in April and May
All right.
if they put it in the grant. Okay.
Stephanie, you want to do roll call?
Sure. Georgiana Schuster,
I approved.
Kim Fisher,
Yes.
Vicky Nicewander,
Yes.
and Robin.
Yes. Okay. Well, I totally blew it on my time estimate for that discussion. I thought that was going to be quick, but it was very substantive. And then we have, do we have any more that require votes? We do. We've got, going down a little bit, we've got one more that requires a vote. But the next one is the Self-Advocate Needs Assessment Report, which is information only. But I wondered if Kim would like to just introduce that and say one or two words about it. I thought it was just excellent. 2 pages, very well presented. I loved it. But Kim, would you like to say something? Kim Bowdry.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I had to, my son is home, so I had to ask him to not yell out while I'm unmuted. So, yeah, we worked with a student from U of I, and with the work that we completed with her, we developed a self-advocate survey just to hear the voice of the people that are receiving services. We often hear from providers and parents, and it is more difficult to hear from the people. And so the survey was based on what do the people want, and the thing that really two things that kind of stuck out more were vacation, leisure type stuff, and some support with employment. And since we have the two employment, the two very specific employment programs that are in existence, I would like to kind of take it a step further and have some more concentrated meetings with some of these self-advocates and ask what more supports might they want? What, maybe we're missing the mark on something. So just trying to figure out what they might want. And then, the vacation and leisure stuff, that's always really fun. And so trying to figure out what that means specifically. I mean, some people said like go to France, go to Michigan. So those are really cool, but maybe try to nail that down a little bit to see if there is a way we can support vacations or leisure activities, or, just trying to figure out what it is that they're actually looking for. I'd love to go to France, but I don't know if we can make that work. So that's just kind of where we're at with those. So I do intend on doing I just got the door closed on me. I'm talking too much. I do intend on doing some more either Zoom meetings one-on-one, or maybe some small focus groups, just to narrow this down a little bit more.
Okay, thank you very much, Kim. Any questions from the board for Kim about this report?
Well, yeah, I have just a request for maybe future evaluations, in that it would be nice to know for people who are happy with the programs that they're utilizing, how many of those are satisfied, and for people who are not, is there some similarity in what they're the services that they're using that make it, not as good as maybe something else? And do you understand what I'm asking here?
Yeah, and just to clarify, no one responded that they were not satisfied with their services. So we're just kind of trying to determine what they meant by, different or more, or related to the employment. What did they mean by that? Some people said work at a daycare, and we don't know for sure if they're receiving employment supports or not. So, kind of branching out and seeing, are you getting those services, or is this something, we can try to link you up with one of the programs that we have. So
yes, thank you for answering the question that I didn't.
No problem. All of the respondents were, gave glowing responses about staff, the broad term, their staff that they worked with. So I didn't see any, glaring concerns coming out of that.
Yeah. Okay, good.
All right. Any other questions for Kim? Well, thank you very much, Kim. The next item is also information. It's the 3-year plan draft 2023 objectives. And if I remember correctly from our conversation yesterday, Lynn, this is basically kind of renewing the objectives that will, we don't have to approve the 3-year plan this year, but every year we need to go over the objectives. And this one is information, and we will do a decision later.
Yes, we'd like to bring you a final version in November. It's good to have a final approved version before 2023 starts. So that's the ultimate goal. We're going to try November 16th to bring you a final draft. We will send it out for input from agencies and stakeholders. Kim Bowdry has a big list of people who are interested and knowledgeable. We'll send it out there. We also would invite board input. We used a different, Kim wrote this memo. I'm sorry for speaking for you, Kim. I should let you do this, but I was so excited because we used a very different process this year. to go through these objectives. We actually it's a process that I learned from ACMI when we were reviewing our own strategic plan. And at first I was annoyed, and then I thought, oh no, this works. And so we went through each objective and talked about how are we measuring this? Many of them are infinite goals and objectives because the mission of the board is infinite. So like it's a little bit tricky to measure these, but we did have really great discussion points, and I would not be real comfortable making our final chart public because it's a conversation between myself and Kim Bowdry and Leon Bryson. So it's very conversational, but we made a lot of suggested revisions this year as a result, even if it's just, we think the wording could be better, or we think we could frame things more positively. So anyway, I'm very interested in board input, which feel free to email us or call to share your thoughts on any of this, but we are also going to be formally asking a bunch of other folks to help us and take a look at it.
Lynn, who should people contact? You, Kim, Leon, any of the above?
Kim and myself for this project.
Okay. All right, thank you very much for that. Okay, we're going to move on to our favorite part of the program, the successes and other agency information. Who wants to go first? Don't all speak up.
Hi, this is Annette. I'll go ahead and go first. A couple things. First, I want to kind of give a movie trailer. I have several things to talk about, and I'm aware of the 5-minute window, but we have some pretty cool stuff happening in the community employment side. So I'll save that for next month. What I really wanted to talk about is the employment first, the website that we have up, or the registry. And so we kind of have a three-pronged approach to that, getting businesses signed on, saying they want to become more disability aware. And so Maggie and Ashley have been hitting businesses every week, talking to them about the registry. They have an information packet for employers. And so to date, we have 28 employers that are on the registry. The next piece of that is, how do we let the public know that this registry is available and they can access it? So if they really kind of want to lean toward a business that said, hey, I'm interested in becoming more disability aware. So that information is going out in the packet that every participant in the expo that participates in the expo. So I think that was 700 copies we made. So we feel that'll be a really good push to get the information out. And then the third piece is, the intent is to have trainings available for businesses that will give them helpful information. And the first training is going to be September 28th at 1:30. And Kim has been kind enough to say that she'll put the link, thank you, Kim, for how to access that. And so Pixo, which my basic understanding of Pixo is that they're a company that creates software and phone apps. And Landy Nazaro, who is Pixo's lead engineer, has agreed to provide an hour-long training for free, and then give us access to that for future reference on the registry. So we're really excited about that. If anybody wants to participate, please join in on the link. I don't think there's a limit to the number of people. And I know we have a good number signed up already. I don't have the most recent updated number. Thank you.
And again, what's the date of that?
Yes, the 28th at 1:30.
And how do people get the link?
Kim Bowdry just put it in the chat.
Okay.
I'd also be happy to send you guys an email with the link.
Yeah, that would be nice if you would send the link to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you for that. Who else?
I can go. I'm Becca with Community Choices. I had a couple kind of good stories to share with you all. One was that just is kind of an employment related one, and these are always fun to talk about. But there's a young woman that we've been working with for over a year. She was really interested. She's very interested in art, and she's not had a ton of employment experience in the past, and so it's been kind of a long road of getting her comfortable with sort of moving towards having a community job. And just last week, she interviewed and was hired on the spot at Hobby Lobby, and she got started last Thursday. And so this was, I think, what Marissa, the job coach that was working with her, told me was that she like walked out and she was like, oh, "Is this a dream?" So it's a pretty exciting thing for her, and she's really kind of gearing up for this new sort of big responsibility and new kind of chapter in her life. She's just finished school in the last year or two, so and like first big kind of like out in the workforce type thing for her. So it's been really great to see that kind of come to such a positive outcome. They put in a lot of work. They tried a lot of places, looked into a lot of different options. So the other two, well, one of the other things I wanted to share that's just like purely good is just that we had a chance to, our sort of work group that we have in partnership with the Champaign County had a chance to kind of check in with them on this Accessible Champaign project that we've been working on, which is creating a assessment tool that we can do for sort of entertainment related businesses, like leisure, social related businesses, so restaurants and venues and that kind of thing. We kind of had our sort of final draft of it done and had a chance to kind of check back in with Visit Champaign County to talk about how it's going to be integrated into their website. And so it's really cool to see like all of the conversations that we've been working on kind of like start to have a home in the world where people will be able to see them. And so we're not, it'll take a little while for them to actually build out the website with the kind of the formats that we've kind of developed, but they'll be working with us on that. So that's been really exciting. And then the other two things, I think, it's great to come here and talk about just like these lovely stories. And I think sometimes I think all of us might be a little bit more hesitant to talk about the things that are really challenging. And sometimes the successes that you get to from a really challenging place are small, but honestly more significant sometimes than just, like, oh, this worked out great. And so we had actually two of those that happened in the last week. We had an individual that we've worked with for a really long time who was in the process of getting evicted from his apartment. And his housing over the course of the last 2 years through the pandemic has been really unstable. And we've been working with him to try to find some other options. And because he had lost more like a more kind of supported living situation that he'd been in, I think it became really clear to us the level of support that he needed was greater than it had been in the past. And so just yesterday, at the end of the day, I got a message from one of my staff that he is going to get a spot at Eden supported living, which I think will be a really, really good fit for him. And definitely, I mean, we've been all options have been on the table. And so this was, I think, one of the most positive kind of options that we could have, and he's excited about that. He's also excited about maybe having that be kind of a transitional place for him, but it has been a lot of work working with him to make all those things happen. And so kind of a mixed bag, but really, really good news for him. And the other thing is just like kind of some of the unglamorous work that goes into making things happen for people. We've been working with another gentleman for a very long time, and he got a home-based award quite a while ago, and it has been a real struggle. There's been lots of things going on in his life, but to get both him and his mother signed up for the program, it's been like months of us calling and trying to visit, and just last week they both came in and they both did the paperwork. And while again, this is not a really glamorous success story, this is a thing that my staff and I talk about like every week. We have been talking about every week for months. And so that really, both of those things kind of happening at the same time really felt like a big success for us and a big success for a lot of the work, just the like boots on the ground kind of work that the staff here has been doing. So I know I talked a long time, but there's kind of a lot going on in the last month. So thanks.
Where the rubber meets the road. All right. Anybody else want to make a comment or make a presentation?
Yes, I'd like to. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is J.R. Lill. I'm the iPlan coordinator for Champaign and Vermilion County. If you know Chandra Bishop, she held my position before. I am running the community needs assessment and the community improvement plan for Champaign counties and Vermilion counties. And I'm really taking the reins on this project. Currently, we're working in behavioral health, which is substance abuse and mental health, as well as healthy behaviors, which is confusing, I know, but it's active living and food environment. And then violence prevention are the three work groups that I have running right now at Champaign County. I am hoping, we're talking about success stories, right? I'm hoping to lay groundwork and help align all the different agencies in the county to continue developing successful programs and successful opportunities for the people of Champaign County. So if anybody's interested, I'm going to be brief. You feel free to contact me. My information's in the chat. I work very closely with Lynn as well. So Lynn, if you have questions about this, you can ask Lynn, and I'm sure she could direct them towards me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I see a hand raised. Is there anybody else?
I guess I'll go next.
Okay.
So good morning, everybody. And stuff. I just have a couple announcements and stuff. So actually one success story and one announcement. I just want to remind everybody that we are PACE is partnering with Family Matters and ARC of Illinois, and we are holding a collaboration, making connections with the Spanish community and stuff. So we will be holding a mini conference at the Champaign Public Library on October 27th, and it's going to be coinciding. There'll be a presentation in Spanish and a presentation in English. So we're kind of excited about it. It's our first go around that we are collaborating with ARC of Illinois and Family Matters, and we're hoping that this will continue every year to be able to reach out to the Spanish community, Spanish speaking community and stuff. And the other one is just a quick announcement about one of our success stories. One of the consumers that we are helping here at PACE was able to find a PSW. I know right now in our time with COVID surge and everything, it is a hardship for finding PAs and PSW, but they were able to find a connection with in our registry for a PSW. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, Mel, there was a request in the chat for you to send the information about your program in the chat. Would you please do that?
Will do. I'll send both the flyer for the Spanish and also for the English part.
Okay, thank you very much. That would be great. I still see a little yellow hand on the screen. Is there somebody?
Yeah, it's Patty.
Okay.
I just wanted to kind of give a quick update on two things. One, the new grant for the workforce retention is underway. As you know, that is the grant to offer some training and membership to NADSP, and then bonuses for new employees and for retention bonuses. And that grant went into effect July 1. And as of this next pay period, we will have 6 people that will have received the new hire bonus, which is people that are, once they go through the DSP training or the QIDP training, which is related to case management, and they go on the registry, they're eligible for that bonus. So that's exciting. That's actually a lot of hiring in a 2-month period compared to what we've experienced in a really long time. So we're excited about that, and everybody has been wildly receptive to that. And then the first retention bonus will be scheduled for the month of October, and all that information will be included on the quarterly report, so you get those updates. But just wanted to let you know that it's in progress and being very well received, and it's something that you all supported and is really really appreciated as we're looking at recruiting and hiring, and being able to tell people that there's a bonus associated with their hire is really helping during interviews, and even just setting up the scheduling the interviews, being able to share news like that, maybe I feel like is having a positive effect on who's coming in. So I thought that was worth mentioning. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is 2 of the new positions through the community living program. One, we're interviewing, we've got a couple of candidates, but we did hire the health advocate position, which kind of is a game changer for the program. In the past, all of the community living specialists have had people on their caseloads that have medical issues that just kind of crop up, and sometimes that's a quick fix and just kind of get through it. But there's others that have really chronic medical issues, and the intent was to kind of streamline and really hire somebody that has that focus of supporting people with the medical needs that they have, that really makes the difference between them being able to live on their own or seek additional supports. So it preserves independence, and it also gives some continuity to that program, to have one person that's kind of responsible for some of the heavy hitters that need some support beyond just routine medical appointments. So we're excited that that is a position that is hired and one of the bonuses that just got paid out. So we're excited to, on both ends for community living, to see that happen. So just again, thanks for the support for both of those.
Thank you. That's excellent news. Anybody else? I still see a little yellow hand. Okay, it's gone. Anybody else want to put your hand up? Well, that was definitely the best part of the meeting, and thank you so much for those reports. Any questions or comments from the board?
And can I just ask, so I was trying to take some of the information that people were talking about. So I was just wondering, can Mel post that information about the conference in the chat? I wasn't sure if you were going to email Patty directly. And then Becca, if you do you all have the accessible Champaign information somewhere? I'm just trying to write myself an email so that I have those links there, because taking notes, yeah. So if you don't mind posting it, that'd be great.
Yeah, there isn't, there's no link to it yet because it hasn't been built yet, but as soon as we do have it, I will absolutely share it with you. Awesome.
Okay, great. And I got the accessible, or I'm sorry, the inclusive employers website too. So that I found. So thank you.
So for me, the mini conference, I was actually going to email it to Kim, if that's okay, and then she could share it with everybody and stuff. So anyone who would be interested in attending the conference.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, well, we do have one more decision memorandum that we need to do, and it's under old business. And it's revisions to the 2023 CCDDB and SILA, which has now been renamed as IDD Special Initiatives Budgets, approved in July 20. Approval is requested for the updated versions. Attachments include background information, CCMHB budget details, and the intergovernmental agreement between the two boards. It's a lot of information, and I did allow a little bit of time. I just want to remind people that it is now 10:15. I had scheduled this meeting to go till 10:30, but we can go longer if we need to. I will have to bow out by 10:45 at the absolute latest, but there is a decision memorandum. Somebody needs to read that.
So there are two motions.
Yeah, there's two motions. Let's do them separately. They're both on page 56.
I'll read the first one. This is Georgiana. I make a motion to approve the attached 2023 CCDDB budget with anticipated revenues and expenditures of $4,874,487.
And I'll second that.
Okay, now open for discussion, questions, etc.
Do you want me to start or do you want to do questions?
Yeah, Lynn, why don't you start by giving us the overview and then we can ask questions from there.
So you approved budgets in the during the summer, and what has changed since this is typical every year that we start our budget process so early. We don't even have really good estimates of revenue, let alone information about personnel costs. All of that information has to come from the county. It comes later. Some of it hasn't even come yet. So you sometimes have to look at these budgets 3 times. I like for you to see them very early before the county board sees them, because you have authority over these budgets. And so like, this is, you know, ensuring that you've had the say in how this works. But all that information from the county really is important. Happily, there's more revenue anticipated than where the estimate that we started with. So that's one big change. You will have more money to spend. Typically, we like to just put that right into contributions and grants, which is the agency contracts line. Most of the changes that you're going to see are like lifting up those two, you know, more revenue and more money to spend on agency contracts. But this year, in addition to updated information about revenues, we have a lot of new information about expenditures. The county is doing a better increase for county staff than they anticipated. I believe in that for our staff too. It's still only 5%. So it's not even keeping up with the cost of living increases that Social Security is looking at. It's, you know, it's fairly modest given the economy, but I think it's appropriate for us to do as much as we can. So we're lifting up with the county there. The health insurance costs were less than projected, but I didn't get that information until the day before Stephanie and Kim were putting these board packets together. So this might be the last time that you have to look at this budget, because health insurance is usually the last piece of information, and we have that. However, this is the sad part. There are lots and lots of notes about revisions because they have to do with changes that county has made in their accounting software and the categories in which revenues and expenditures are reported. Right, so some of those categories are less compatible with the categories we were using. So there's lots and lots of information in the list of revisions that really just has to do with, it's not more money for anything, or even substantially less money for anything. It's just being put in different lines. Some lines are combined. We will continue to bring you the detailed information that we always do. And that relates to, this is the budget you're asked to approve, and then the SILA budget. And that the only change there is that there's more money than anticipated. So it's going to go straight into contributions and grants. And then all the rest of it is for information. Hopefully the details there are helpful. This is the document that I have prepared for you all. And then after that, just for context, is that intergovernmental agreement. And then after that is the county's beautiful new budget documents. I think they're so lovely. This new software caused them so much pain that we might never see our budget documents in this pretty format again. So I wanted you to see them because I thought it was so nice to look at. It's the same information, but like more of a 30,000 foot view. You know, it's just, I feel sad for the county because they have been through so much, making all these changes and new software not working the way people had hoped. So if this decision memo was a hassle for you to look at, I believe it, and I'm so sorry. So anyway, that's the context. And I'll go back to the memo.
Thank you for that, Lynn. What questions are there from the board?
I have a question, and it relates to one line item. We spend money with United Way on 211 services from PATH. And I'm just wondering, is that going to change in the future because of the new federal regulation about 988 lines? It's
So it's going to change for a different reason. So next year, we don't expect that we will have to pay for any part of 211. Illinois is the only state that's not paying for 211, and they've agreed that they'll pay for it next year. So fingers crossed, because I don't know what you do with promises from the state, but I mean, so you bring up a huge issue though, Georgiana, the issue of how 988 is going, what role the DD board and the mental health board will be expected to play in. Most states are having difficult conversations about taxes to support the 988 service. I have a bad feeling that if the state starts paying for 211, they're going to expect us to start paying for 988, like they give and take, right? So I think that I love that you put this question on the table, and I don't think we can adequately answer it today, but hopefully not in 2023, but we hope that the 211 cost will go away. And if it goes away in 2023, I will let you know. But I think behind that is the huge discussion of what is 988 doing and who's going to pay for it. And there's so much behind it.
Is there overlap between what 988 is supposed to cover, which I understand to be mental health crises, and 211 services? Is there overlap there?
Yeah, and most importantly, the provider, which is PATH, who's been providing 211 services for Champaign County and 40 other counties in the state. That is the state's choice for provider of 988 services. So PATH is already making that conversion, taking the principles of 211 and some of the information, the database underlying the call service, and shifting it to 988. They have been providing national suicide prevention lifeline services for all their customers except Champaign County in the past. I think that now we're going to have uniformity since it's a state grant, but we also have some additional state and federal bits that Rosecrans is providing to Champaign County and a couple of others, that relate to the implementation of 988 and a full array of crisis services. So it's not fully supported by the state just yet, but because of that choice of provider, there really is overlap, including the known disadvantages of 211 being a call, just strictly a call services, that, those issues will carry through too. So that's where we might be able to be helpful.
Any other questions, comments? Are we ready for a roll call vote?
Vicky Niswander,
Yes.
Georgiana Schuster,
Yes.
Kim Fisher,
Yes.
Ann Robin.
Yes. Okay, now we have another motion, which is, would someone like to read that motion, the second one on page 56?
I can read it. A motion to approve the attached 2023 SILA facilities to be IDD Special Initiatives Fund budget with anticipated revenues of $51,000, use of $300,000 from fund balance, and expenditures of $351,000. Payment to this fund is consistent with the terms of the intergovernmental agreement between the CCDDB and CCMHB, and full approval is contingent on CCMHB action.
Is there a second?
This is Kim, I'll second.
Okay. Lynn, do you want to elucidate this briefly?
So the changes in this one are just increased revenue. And I think the increase is simply that we can expect some investment interest income. And then, so we want to spend it So we just increased the contributions and grants line to absorb that. So fingers crossed that we'll be able to allocate that money. It means getting enough applications that meet what the boards want to do with it.
So where is this money going to be put now? It's just put in the fund?
Yeah, it's a separate fund.
Okay.
And it typically the only revenue it received was contributions from each of the boards, the $50,000 for a series of years. The mental health board doesn't make that contribution this time
Right.
because they paid the whole thing off a while ago. And then a little bit of rental income was included, and sometimes investment interest income is good. Now it's good because we sold the house, so there's a bunch of money sitting in it. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Stephanie, would you like to do roll call, please?
Kim Fisher,
Yes.
Vicky Niswander,
Yes.
Georgiana Schuster,
Yes.
Ann Robin.
Yes. All right, well, that is all of the decisions that we have to make, going right up to other business. But we do have agency service reports, which is a lot of information. And we have the second quarter update, which goes along with that, which is a lot of other information. Those are both in the board packet. Does anybody want to make any brief comments or questions about those before we go to the expo update?
The second quarter update is from 211. So
Okay.
so this is
Oh,
year
211, I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
there's 211. Okay.
So this stuff here, the many pages, these are the reports that the agencies have actually submitted. So you have access to their excellent comments. I think that the DD board agencies do a really good job of, they get their stuff in on time and they write comments that are relevant to the programs and very helpful to us. So we like just sharing this directly to you. So these are for the fourth quarter, and then there are the charts. Ooh. Oh, that's nice. Sorry. So there's some extra stuff in here too. And then the charts that Kim is putting together for us that show, this is, Kim, are these for the whole year or for the fourth quarter?
This is full year PY22.
So these are, like, you provide these each quarter, but I think that it's nice to be able to see like what kind of, a lot of services are provided directly to people and some of the services are behind the scenes. So you get to see the balance of that and what kind of service activity and how many people were served and what the total cost was. It's just nice to have that all in one place. So anyway, sorry, I'm talking too much.
No, that's very good. And we like the charts. The charts are visual representation that's very helpful. Thank you, Kim.
I just would concur. Thank you. It like really helps to have this information, and especially when we're talking to community members about, the work that you all are doing. So thank you.
Okay, any other comments about the agency service reports except thanks? And then the update from PATH, I'm sorry, I misread that, is the 211 second quarter update from PATH. They're on a different system. We were talking about a little bit.
He is talking about the 988, the new work in 988. They're on a lot of statewide calls that we're also on, and he's keeping a really positive attitude, but staffing this up quickly and getting everybody trained across the state was a big challenge for 211. So we're going to be watching closely like how 988 works, because it may be just as tightly staffed as everything else. So anyway, he's very cheerful though.
All right.
Cool charts too.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, Kim, would you give us a brief expo update? It was just 2 pages and it was beautifully presented, but I wondered if you would like to make a few comments. Kim Bowdry. Unmute yourself.
Sure, things are moving at lightning speed as we're, just actually just a month out from the expo. So Dylan Boot and Allison Boot are working really hard to get everything sent to the printer. They notified us yesterday that the MTD bus ads are now on the buses. So if you are out and about, look for those around town. I saw an ad, one of our ads in Smile Politely online. So things are really ramping up. I think the most important thing that we need right now is volunteers. Becca is our volunteer coordinator, and I know we're getting close to the sweet spot for recruiting volunteers. So if you guys are aware of anybody that is interested in volunteering at the expo, reach out and let us know, and I will make sure that to get that person in contact with Becca.
Well, this is amazing. The date had to be changed. The venue had to be changed. So many things had to be changed. And I know there's a huge amount of behind the scenes work that has gone on. And special thanks to the couple that have been doing a lot of the behind the scenes work, and Kim and the whole working group. Any questions or comments about Expo?
Looking forward to it.
Hope everybody can at least dip into it. Okay, we've got our schedules and timelines, which is wonderful to have that. Acronyms and glossary, CCMHB input. Is there anything? Lynn, they're having a meeting today, and then we're meeting jointly next week. Let's remind everybody that we do have a joint meeting. We've already received the packet for that.
I will send out an email with the packet as well. I was waiting, but I'm glad you all have the hard copy because it's also a lot of information. Yeah, the mental health board meets this evening. They have an agency request. They have 2 agency requests to consider. So it's a lot of the same material that you're looking at, but specific to what they fund. They fund many, many more agencies than y'all do. And some of those agencies have really had a hard time securing an independent CPA firm to perform their required audits. So this continues to create issues for us. It's hard for us to fully account for a program year until we have the audit. And so if the audit is a year late, so those are all mental health board concerns. So I do expect that they will probably have some discussion of that, of what can they do about that? How flexible can they be? And how disruptive this situation has been. This has got something to do with another kind of workforce shortage. Turns out, there's also a real demand for accountants. So anyway.
Okay, thank you. Staff reports again are very much appreciated. Any comments or questions from the board about staff reports? Any board announcements? Well, I guess I'll see you all next week. Wednesday at 5:45 on Zoom. And we'll get the link for that sent out sometime. And I'm going to excuse myself because I'm not invited to this next one. So I just want to thank everybody for their participation. I'm going to leave, and don't everybody else leave except, well, our community partners can leave because this is going to be a board closed.
No, we're not having a closed session meeting. So people don't need to leave.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, I'm going to leave.
Okay.
And goodbye, everybody. Have a great day.
So we do not have to have a closed session meeting to discuss this. We can if you want to, but if we do, then it results in another recording that has to be saved. and more minutes for you to review each 6 months until they can be gone public. So if you have questions about the specifics, I think all board members who are present here have received the minutes, which are related to closed sessions, and you can call me if you want information on what's going on behind it. There isn't any new information, so that's why I didn't call you. It's everything that's in the minutes is accurate still. So if you want a closed session, I will get out my other computer and I've created a closed session meeting. I can send you the link to it. If you don't want a closed session, there's a suggested motion. The attorneys have requested that we leave the minutes closed and retain the recording for, until such time as this is over. I want to put up that motion. So I don't know if y'all are comfortable with approving continuing to keep the minutes closed now, or if you would like to go into a closed session to discuss that. So the motion, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Can we, so that's the issue, is whether we keep these minutes from February 23rd of 2022, keep them closed? Is that what we're?
You should have 2 other sets of minutes as well. There should be 3 sets of minutes. And the recommendation from the attorney is to continue keeping them closed for now. But the problem is, like, by statute, you have to have this conversation every 6 months, review closed session minutes. And there could be a closed session that there's no need to keep it closed. For example, if you want a closed session next week to discuss my future employment, that's the kind of thing that 6 months later you would open that one. So, but this is, all of these minutes are particular to the same matter. So.
From my years on the Board of Education, I know that this is standard practice, so I have no problem with taking a vote in open session.
So if you all are comfortable doing that, the motion is at the very bottom of this long paragraph. I'm trying to highlight it, but I can't, I'm having a hard time highlighting that for you.
So this is Kim. I'll put in a motion to accept the closed session minutes as presented or as revised, and to continue maintaining them as closed.
And I will second that motion.
Any discussion? Okay, Stephanie, would you call the roll?
Georgiana Schuster,
Yes.
Kim Fisher,
Yes.
Vicky Nicewander,
Yes.
Okay, the motion the motion passes.
Thank you. I'm sorry, it's odd. Some of the things that we do, we're just, just good. We're just being good government.
I'm just giggling because I don't know how to do that. I'm giggling because of that. I don't know how to do it. Hopefully I did it okay.
If you have any questions or concerns about the matter, please call me. We're also encouraged not to have email discussions or public discussions on the issue, but we can talk about it on the phone.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. So we can adjourn? Yeah.
Do we need a motion to, or do we need a motion?
Do we need a motion to
Okay.
adjourn?
no.
Okay, let's adjourn.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Adjourning.
Bye.
See you next week.
Yeah.
Bye.